start recording. But yeah, I completely forgot to do the VHS of the week. I was literally like in my head earlier, like, oh, I need to do VHS of the week. I don't know, I haven't really watched any this week. I need to put one on the thing. I need to watch one and put it on the command. I forgot to do that. So, before stream, and I meant to do that, but I just didn't. So yeah, and that. Why is my face cam lagging? This is usually when my bitrate goes a bit down. Usually at the start of stream, it's when my bitrate dies. And it's just gone down. It just keeps going up between like 4,000 and like 3,800, which is fine. But yeah, so today we're going to be starting Talking About a Blaze from the Edge of Investigations collection. And why is my webcam lagging so much? Oh my god. I think it's when I switch between tabs on the what's it called? Strategy Wiki. In case I ever need any help with in case I have Strategy Wiki like open. But yeah, so first we're gonna talk about the new Ninjago episodes, because they released yesterday and I watched them all yesterday on ITVX. I generally love this season. There was a lot more like new Elemental Masters getting introduced with the Tournament of Sources. Off the top of my head, there was some that were like who like came back from previous seasons. So the ones that came back from previous seasons was Camille, who's the master of form, Neuro, who's the master of the mind, Tox, who's the master of poison, and Mr. Pale, who is the master of light. So those are the 5 that came back from previous seasons, not including our main characters, because obviously they'll be in every season. But yeah, and then I'm talking about the characters who were like reintroduced in Tournament of Sources. And then off the top of my head, spoilers by the way for Dragon's Rising Season 2 Part 2. But yeah, so, and then off the top of my head, the new Elemental Masters that got introduced this season. So there was Frax. I think his name is like Frax. I think it's Frax, who is like the master of Quake. So like earthquakes and shit. And then there's the master of surface tension. Surface tension, as some of these elements, by the way, aren't explicitly like mentioned in the show. They're only like shown. But I did a lot of digging on the wiki. Not really, I just searched up elements and just looked through and see the new ones and be like, oh yeah, that's the character from the new episodes. So yeah, surface tension, she's the monks who like made the bubbles and shit. And then there's a master of what was it? Figment. That was like the skeleton guy that was like duplicating himself. And then there's a few other Elemental Masters that we don't know the element of. Like there's a Kragling that like we don't know the element of. And then there's the Elemental Master of Reflex, who I cannot remember the life of for the life of me. Who I can't even remember the name of even for the life of me. But yeah, he's like even though he was like in one episode he had like a pretty major role. Not like a major role, but like he was kind of important to that like episode's like storyline. But yeah, he's the one with like the horns on it. The purple guy with the horns. But yeah, he's the master of reflex. Zeatrix got like officially like introduced. Like we knew of her from last year's season. We got introduced to her through a flashback, but we haven't really got to know her character now. Like, I just assumed that she was dead this whole time and that Beatrix had murdered her. But apparently not. She's alive and for some reason now looks exactly like Beatrix. Like, yeah, they're twins. But at the very least, in the last season, in the flashback, they had different hairstyles, but now Beatrix has the same hairstyle as Beatrix. I don't understand that. Beatrix is the master of shockwave, by the way. And also there's a new master of sound, I think. And it's a new master of shadow. Oh, I can't remember her name either. Her name was explicitly mentioned in the episode where they went to the tournament. But I cannot remember it. It starts with like an O or something. Oh, this is gonna bug me. Okay, I'm gonna look it up on my phone what her name is. I'm gonna look up what the Master of Reflex's name is as well. So, Master of Shadow Ninjago. What is her name? Okay, what is her name? The first result that comes up when you type in Master of Shadow Ninjago is Shade. So I'm trying to go to the Shadow wiki. Who is the current news? Obscuria, that's the name. And then we've got the Master of Reflex Ninjago. What is his name? Zer, that's his name. Zer's his name. Is there any other elements that I'm missing from the new season? Elements Ninjago. Are there any other elements that I'm missing? I'm looking on the wiki for the elements. Let me see. Balance is an element by Kizzy. Xantax has the element of plants. There's the element of size as well. And then there's a bunch of other like unknown elemental masters as well. And then we have the Forbidden Five, who did they all? I think the Forbidden Five all have elements, but we don't know what they are. Like, I'm looking at Noct. I don't know how to say the plural form of his name. No, not the plural form. The possessive form of his name. Noct. I don't know. It says unknown for his element. What about Rocks? We don't know her element either. Okay. So yeah, I don't know why, but in my head, I was thinking that all the Forbidden Five had were I don't know why, but I was thinking that all the Forbidden Five had were like the first elemental masters, all of for 5 of the elements, so like fire, lightning, ice, earth, and then another element. I don't know why I was thinking that. But yeah, I think I just heard that they were evil elemental masters, and I thought, oh, they were like the first elemental masters, but they're not. I don't think. Anyways, I hope we get more lore about the Forbidden Five. I mean, I assume we will next season. But yeah, I hope so. I hope we get more on the Forbidden Five. I mean, we probably will. It's shaping up to be like, oh, the Forbidden Five are like the main big bad of the Dragon's Rising era, no fuck's sake. But yeah, the Forbidden Five are probably like the big bad. Unless it turns out like, oh, the first Winchester Master is actually a bad guy. Cause spoilers, Wu apparently caused the merge to happen. Crazy. I don't know, I mean, we will probably get some sort of explanation next season or the season after. But yeah, I mean, over the course of these 10 episodes especially, it was kind of like I was like, when the reveal happened, I was like, oh, that kind of makes somewhat sense, cause like I think in like the first episode, no, it was either in the first or the second episode. I think it was the second, or even the second or third episode of season 1 of Dragons Rising. It was like they were saying like there was a flashback and like Wu was like obsessing over the merge, being like, it wasn't meant to come this early, blah 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 blah. I've got to stop it, blah 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 blah. And yeah, it was kind of like there were some like slight hints that like, oh, Wu kind of like started the merge or was like the catalyst in the merge happening, or like he helped like start the merge earlier than it was supposed to. I don't know how to explain my thought process on that, but if you know, you know. Okay, so I really love this season. I really like this season. One thing that, okay, two things. I have two things that I want to talk about. Okay, I'm going to talk about Zeatrix first. When I was watching it, I don't know how I felt about Zeatrix. First, I didn't like that. I don't know. There was no explanation as to why now Zeatrix looks like Beatrix. Like, and it's not like, oh, Beatrix was just pretending to be a Zeatrix through the entirety of her reign as Empress of Imperium, because Beatrix never changed her haircut to be more like what Zeatrix's haircut was like. Like, it was just Zeatrix that changed her haircut to be like more like Beatrix's. So I don't know why. I don't remember why. I don't think they ever explained it as to why she changed her hair. Like, everyone was like, oh shit, it's Beatrix. And then Zeatrix was like, no, I'm not my fucking sister. It's me. And yeah, I don't know. And it felt like to me that, like, it felt like Zeatrix was just like evil for evil's sake, and was just like pissy that her sister dethroned her or like stopped her from becoming Empress of Imperium. That's all it felt like. Like, I wish they had more of a focus on Zeatrix and like kind of slightly fleshed her out more. I'm gonna look at her wiki page actually, because I don't fully remember her. I don't remember her like actual like full-blown motivation. Okay, so basically it looks like she was just pissy that the ninja like was like I think she was just pissy that the ninja took down her sister. There's a quote at the top of her wiki page that says, when I was in exile, all I had was a dream of exacting revenge on my sister. You ninjas stole that chance from me. Seems only right to exact the same revenge on you. Yeah, she was exiled from Imperium by Beatrix, and she was like, oh, I'm gonna get a revenge on Beatrix. But then obviously the ninja took her down. Ninja like took her down, and so Zeatrix was pissed. I don't know why. That feels like very weak, like motivation. Like if they had like maybe a few more flashbacks, maybe of Zeatrix's like exile and like forced abdication from the throne, maybe I would like her motivation more. But yeah, it just seemed very like, it just seems like she was just kind of pissy at everything. And yeah, I don't know how to feel about Zeatrix. If she gets more development in the next season, and like you know she gets like more clarification on her motivation to like destroy the ninja, then I'd take this all back. But right now, it doesn't feel like a very strong motivation. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like a very strong motivation. It's just like, hey ninja, fuck you. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it might have felt better if I feel like I would have liked her motivation more if we saw maybe a flashback and we saw, oh, her dad helped Beatrix with getting rid of Zeatrix and exiling her. And then we saw maybe her being exiled, and then when she got back to Imperium, she like saw Beatrix being overthrown by the ninja, and she was like, oh, I was gonna do that or something. Maybe we saw some flashbacks, maybe I would feel like how I would like her more as a villain. I mean, I know she is probably only supposed to be a side villain, but I also would have loved it if like she was also helping like the Forbidden Five and like Raz, like however the fuck you say his name. I'm signing out my webcam, by the way. And like maybe she was trying to like stop Jordana from like passing notes to the ninja and like giving hints to the ninja that like, hey, something's not right. So yeah, I don't know how to feel about Zeatrix. It's not like I don't like her, it's that she had more potential as a villain. So yeah. And also, okay, another thing I want to talk about. This is more of a smaller nitpick. It's in like the little scene where Cole meets up with Gio, and they go over to like this the museum, to the outside of the museum, and they see Lily's Mac, and I kind of wish there was like I kind of wish that scene had a little bit more like, I wish that scene was longer, so that like maybe like Cole could tell Gio a little bit about his mum, and because it was just like, because it was literally, the scene was basically, oh, Cole was getting some fruit and Gio was reaching for some fruit, and their like hands like knocked together, and Cole's like, oh my god, it's Gio. They hug, and then Gio was like, I need to show you something, come around here, and they get to Lily's Mac, and Gio's like, oh, this Mac was owned by past Elemental Master of Earth, and Cole was like, oh, this this might have, belonged to my mum. And then Gio just puts his hand on Cole's shoulder, and that's where the scene ends. I wish that scene was longer, and I wish, from what I got from the scene, it seems that Cole already told Gio what happened to his mum, and that she died, and that he had a strained relationship with Lou for a while. But I kind of wish that for newer viewers of the show who haven't watched the previous seasons, have only started watching Ninjago from Dragons Rising from last year, so maybe maybe there was a little bit more exposition for them, Cole being or just maybe, let me rephrase what I'm saying. Maybe that how that scene could have played out was being Cole being telling Gio oh, this might have been my mum's, but I can't ask her. She died when I was a kid. Maybe I can ask my dad when we get home, but I'm kind of scared to, because we haven't really talked about mum's death since she died, and we had a strained relationship for a little while because we were both grieving and shit. And Gio being hey, yeah, I'll come with you, or I'll come with you, it'll be okay. Or Gio basically just comforting Cole. That's how I would have wanted the scene to go on a little longer. I mean, I understand time constraints maybe on the season, but still I would have loved that scene to be a little bit longer. Okay. Rant over. I want to get into Adrift Investigations, 10 of Our Blaze.